I am very sure that this has to do with harassment. This is not a genuine inquiry. This has to do with harassment. This has to do with trying to intimidate persons. This has to do with trying to force people not to protest anymore. That's what this is about. St. Vincent should be ashamed to say they have a seat on the Security Council. First of all, it is against our own constitution. We don't even have to go to the human rights conventions that we have signed on to. But the UN Human Rights Convention, the Civil and Political Convention, all those conventions that deal with human rights that we signed on to as we are part of the OAS, they apply to St. Vincent, and when it comes to international law, it takes precedence over domestic law in relation to those. So, in any event, we have our constitution, which is against the right to protest, falls under, of course, freedom of conscience, freedom of association, freedom of speech, freedom of movement. All those rights are enshrined also in those human rights conventions and civil and political conventions that we have signed on to. The Public Order Act was made to deal with meetings where you're going to hold discussions and air views and so forth, like if you have a political campaign, those type of meetings they're supposed to control. It is not to control protest. In fact, even in that act, even if you act and you inform them, they do not have the right to tell you cannot protest. That is not part of the Public Order Act even. I am really disturbed and perturbed that our country, St. Vincent and Grenadines, has gone to its lowest ebb ever, and threatening to go even lower. Because all of these arrests, as I say, to try to criminalize persons who are protesting and fighting for the rights of others is the lowest depth you can sink to. It is unbelievable that the person's rights could be so restricted under a government that say that they are Labour government and that they're the government of the people.